Hello everyone and welcome to this message. I have a message for us, all of us, a message of confusion. It's a confusion happening somewhere at some level in us, at the collective level. So, first and foremost, there is a message that came through about how we become universal consciousness in a body, and we become that by neutralizing truth, meaning in a conversation with another, I am not going to be attached trying to prove you something. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I will try to find, based on what capabilities I have at that moment in time, I'm going to try to find, in partnership with you or with a group of people, however it applies, the best outcome. That is basically, in other words, is out of a myriad of possibilities that can be true, a certain truth will be chosen as the one that is in the highest interest of everyone involved, and not only everyone involved in that moment, but also is going to have a huge effect all over the planet. So that's how you get to be this cosmic egg, if you want, this master. I am not attached to a certain outcome when I find myself in a conflict or in a situation. I'm embracing what is, and based on what I know and what you know, we will try to find that truth that's more balanced. And I would even dare to say, not even that's more balanced. That truth that we both know would be in the best interest of both, even if it doesn't look like it's in your best interest in that moment in time. Makes sense? I hope it makes sense. It feels like it makes sense, though I have the feeling at the same time that maybe one or two of you didn't really get it. Yeah, I'm a seeker of truth, so maybe someone here, you are a seeker of truth, and maybe at times you feel like you are losing yourself, is what I hear, or losing something. Maybe you are supposed to lose all those things. Maybe you are supposed to lose yourself. Maybe you are supposed to allow yourself to lose yourself in order to actually find yourself, the better version of yourself to come in. So it's okay to be confused at times. Don't push away confusion. Don't push away when you feel or you perceive that life is coming at you through a situation, an individual, in one way or another. Allow yourself to be open. Maybe you are someone that listens to this message or listens to people you find interesting. You find something in you is telling you, I have something to learn from this individual. All great, all good. But it doesn't really, the message that they have, it doesn't really get to you. Obviously, there are some barriers between you and the message. And so, how can we break down these barriers so we can really understand that message? Take what's being said and stay with that, with a phrase, with a saying, with an idea. Stay with it. Try to understand what those words mean actually for you. because they touched you at some level. So the meaning of those words will come to you if you really want that expansion, right? We tend to live in a romanticized society is what wants to come true. We are romanticizing the fact that everything will happen one day and everything will be pink. In other words, we have these rose-colored glasses on. Everything will happen one day with these rose-colored glasses on, but you will have to endure a lot of destruction in your life, which you are not going to enjoy if you don't take these rose-colored glasses off, and you have the intention from the inside to discover the truth. How do I know if I have the rose-colored glasses on? First of all, you know this message touched you, right? It has an impact over you in one way or another. Second of all, where in your life cycles keep repeating, and same story keeps repeating. You want a specific outcome in a certain area, but it just doesn't happen. What are you failing to see? What are you failing to understand? There is something here with you not trying the best you can try in a certain moment in time, revolving a certain situation. There is no such thing as an illusion not to be broken when we really want to find the truth, not an illusory truth that will keep you stuck in another similar cycle. Maybe takes another form, but it's the same cycle, right? I want to know the truth, even and probably many times that truth is going to push your barriers and your self-imposed limits time and time again. Allow it to happen, allow it to happen again, allow it to happen again. Allow yourself to expand, allow yourself to open. What does it mean, allowing myself to open? Well, I know that I keep repeating a cycle. I know that I'm not proud of myself, of how I react to a certain situation. So I identify what I usually do. Let me try, maybe do the opposite, maybe experiment in the moment. How can I allow myself to be penetrated by the truth that wants to be shown to me? Yeah, okay, that's that. Now we're going to enter in a different message for someone, for all of us. It's quite interesting, and probably it's going to take me a little bit of time to put the pieces of this message all together, but bear with me, okay? So I've been receiving this. It is so very important who you surround yourself with until it's not, right? People that live strongly in their shadow can really convince you, if your light is not strong enough, that what they say is true. The projection of the shadow is so strong that you now believe what they say is true. If we allow that to happen, we get infected, if you want, with the seed of doubt, with the seed of confusion, with the seed of illusion, so on and so forth. Why am I saying this? I've been receiving this vision with a glass dome. And this seems like this is trauma that I'm talking about here. Bear with me. A glass dome. Inside of that glass dome are all kinds of extraterrestrials, aliens really. Not sure how it plays out again. These different beings there in that dome, they live in neutrality. So a higher consciousness. From them, different lineages were created. So I assume, just assume right now, that this is maybe a message that one of you is going to understand better, okay? I hope I will bring it in to the best of my abilities. Different lineages were created from these original aliens. I assume these are the original ones here on planet Earth that created lineages. It's something here related with the Egyptian pyramids, something here related to having a higher perspective over the world, over the universe, over the consciousness, okay? And what happened is some of these lineages, I'm seeing one in particular, the lineage of Isis was infected with jealousy and envy. That's why the pyramids were created, so individuals can gain a higher perspective through entering those pyramids. There is a higher perspective that's being offered by the universal consciousness, by the creators of this universe, to those that enter the pyramid. These pyramids, they are also related to I believe, if I understand correctly right now, also related to the Holy Trinity in one way or another, which is basically the womb of the mother. So if you want to allow yourself to be reborn out of jealousy and envy, you have to get in touch, connect with the void, allow an emotional death to happen, so you can be rebirthed. But there is something here that I'm missing. I feel it. Bear with me. It's coming, okay? What is it? Those pyramids are not necessarily associated with the Trinity. They are associated with the womb of the mother indeed. And so when you enter them, you allow yourself to die. How this death is happening, it can happen in multiple ways. One is the ego can be tricked. And so the ego can be tricked. You can receive a message. Let's say you connect to these pyramids, or maybe you are someone that went there to these pyramids and in Egypt, right? And you received some sort of a message. That message tricked your ego. That part of your ego that wants to be reborn. The snake, it's something here about sneaky energies, the snake that followed you through time and space. And your ego is going to be so tricked that you are going to be led into a situation where a huge impact is going to take place, a huge tower moment. And when I say tower moment, a huge destruction of the ego, the narcissistic, if you want. I don't want to use that word. The toxic structure, the ones that are rigid and don't allow you to be yourself fully, are going to be, I hear, massive destruction in some cases. Some people here will lose it all. Family, money, connections. What they know to be true is now all fake. Okay? So that is one meaning, one meaning of these pyramids in Egypt is to help you gain a higher perspective over jealousy and envy somehow. And it's also related to the controlling, the paternification, the controlling toxic masculine is all related. Okay, let's move further. There is another lineage coming from this dome where the actual energy of control and resistance was created from the beginning of times. And this comes from the fear of being hurt and heard. Hurt and heard. Fear of being oneself. Because this secondary lineage I'm bringing now into perspective, it was profoundly affected by the energy of jealousy and envy. The energy, they saw what can happen if someone is jealous and dumb. And so now they developed these defenses. I have to control what's in my vicinity, otherwise I'll be hurt. Only with connecting, right? You put the intention, it's telepathically here what's happening. With the energy of neutrality from the original ones, from the core, from your core, if you want. You can put yourself intentionally in a metamorphosized state. Thank you for understanding my English, really. Metamorphosized state where you can now feel safe enough to let go of control, which will allow you to get in the energy and frequency of all there is, which will allow you to become this angel of unity consciousness if you want, which will allow you to be unity consciousness in the body. And now from this place you are all love. Not stupid, not naive, all love. It's difference. When you are all love, you are higher in intelligence. You are superior, if you want. And when I say the superior, you can definitely feel it in yourself. It doesn't come from an egoic place. Can you? And so, many might feel superior from an egoic place. But that's because there is this fear of being hurt. They saw what happens when jealousy and envy is around. And what happened, you might want to ask. Well, when this demonic force of jealousy and envy takes over one, they can be very dangerous, right? They can be a threat to your life even. And so, who is to judge these people that live in control and in fear? No one. But they need to understand that now it is time for them, it is time for us to let go of this almost obsessive way of controlling things. And I hear someone saying, I'm not controlling anything. What? If you have a strong reaction to what I say, you are controlling something, right? You are controlling something. Something in you still wants to control something out of fear. Okay. Let's focus a little bit over this dome. This is what wants to come true. And this neutralized beings inside of it. There are some neutralized beings inside of this dome from which all these lineages were created. They are literally made out of matter. If we are to dive in, if we are to tap in that energy, this matter, it's all about love and the deliciousness about it, all about flow. This energy of control try to interfere with this dome, with your core, if you want, and it succeeded in places, in time and space. That's the hardest part of our psyche to work with. I feel deeply within that I'm supposed to be controlling. It's because the core was affected. Why do I have such a hard time letting go of my defenses? It's because my core was affected. If I feel it in my core, who are you to come and tell me that I'm supposed to be, or I'm supposed to do something else in order to become a greatest version of self, when at the same time you tell me to trust and believe in myself, right? Well, here is the message for that. You have to experiment. Yes, I feel strongly, but what is the result? What if I go the opposite way? What if I go a different way with my thoughts, with my emotions? You have to allow yourself to experiment with taking different actions, thinking different thoughts related to what you really feel strongly in yourself. See how you get molded as a result of that. And you will know what to do from there, because you are going to like it and enjoying it so much. You will enjoy it so much that now you are going to fall in love with this experimenting, if you want. Right? Okay. What else? And there are a couple of more lineages here coming from this dome. It's kind of a strange message, isn't it? But you get the points that need to be taken into consideration. And for a second here I was so confused. And these other lineages are actually lineages that are so confused. They live in a whole lot of confusion. These are the lineages that they live as in living, as in I'm alive, in the land of gods. The land of gods are confused states of consciousness on the light or good side of the polarity. They live there because there is where they allowed themselves to be as a result of profound wounding coming from the original lineage that created somehow this energy of envy and jealousy. How this initial lineage How did they create this jealousy and envy? From where it started? I'm not even sure how to put this into words, but I'm going to tell you what I see. There was, in this lineage, there was the weakest one, if you want, a being, an individual, the weakest one or the youngest one, the most vulnerable to impact, whatever this impact is here. They were, what happened here? Somehow they were attacked by a lower consciousness. And they started to speak into existence. And keep in mind, from the place where I'm coming it now, it's a place where manifestation happens, I hear, for a reason. Happens super fast, and people live somehow in profound trust towards each other. And I trust what you say, because somehow everything was great so far, and based on what we know, I trust you. And so this vulnerable one now became infected with this garbage, I want to say. My camera is about to die. I'll change the battery. I'll be right back. So as I was saying, that's how the jealousy and envy took place in that lineage. There was a very trustworthy foundation, a very trustworthy energy in the air. Even if they weren't so loving towards each other, there was trust, is what I'm being told. And so honor was a very important thing. Your word, if there were words involved, was very important, very honorable beings. And so they took it as it came. Yeah. In other words, I believe what's actually all this message about, of course, you can tap into the message and see actually what comes for you, what is your understanding about all this that I brought to our consciousness today. But if I'm to express my own understanding, is how our core at the beginning was beautiful and neutral, and from there we started to we naturally we had to grow up as individuals, as people, and layers in our consciousness were affected by what we had in our environment. And what we had in our environment is some jealousy, envy, control, fear, manipulation, confusion. And that blocked us so powerfully that we now don't know who we are any longer. We create repetition in cycles we don't want them to repeat. And so what's the key to all this? it is exactly the following. Seek the truth. Seek the truth in yourself. Seek the truth in yourself. Understand what fear is. Understand what love is. Choose to live based on the energy of love. Choose to work with the present moment, because these layers are so complex in us that today we understand one thing, tomorrow we are going to understand a different thing, and at times we might again be confused. What do you mean this is like that, when yesterday you told me exactly the opposite? These two things can and are true in the same time. But when we are in such confusion of the mind, remember, we cannot allow ourselves to see how they fit in the story together. It's important to believe, you see, that it is like that. Because if you connect with your core, you will feel that's the truth. If you allow yourself to really feel into the situation, you will feel that that's the truth. If you even ask a higher power to show you, is this the truth that I need to see right now? You will get the answer, and the answer will be short, and you will have clarity probably for a moment, or maybe for a couple of days, and then will be taken away, but not, will be taken away in a sense where now all that was blocking that truth to come in comes in, so you can take care of it properly. Almost like the universe, when you ask, is removing a part of the confusion so you can have more clarity, but then the confusion is coming back so you can work with it. We can find ourselves in some moments in time where we really don't know, and we are so confused and so blocked, but we ask for help, and the help comes, and we know it's the right help, but the confusion is so strong that we push it away. We don't take it seriously. We don't take ourselves seriously, and we tend to repeat the cycle. It's 12 o'clock again. It's 12 o'clock again. It's 12 o'clock again. I guess the question is, when are we going to take us serious enough to do the work? Right? And I hear someone in my mind saying, but all these other people on these big platforms say, you're not supposed to take yourself seriously. You're supposed to be carefree and laugh. I say, there is a moment for everything. There is a moment for everything. When you take yourself seriously and initiate this profound work in yourself, you will find yourself in places that are so dark, where the universe will catch you with a joke. You see? And then the universe also will give you enough darkness when you are ready, where you will be capable to make a joke about all the confusion that exists in your life, all the pain, all the sorrow. So now it is not a matter of one thing and one thing only. It's a matter of being curious and serious and open about one's journey. Is there anything else I want to add today to this story? Oh, there is something here with cleaning your house. If you feel confused, if you feel like that answer doesn't come that you are looking for, clean your house, clean your home, organize when you know you have something to organize, and the answer will come. Don't ask me how. Universe is very magical. It can be super magical. You have to be hands-on in this process. Otherwise, you will be sucked into whatever you are going to be sucked into. But in these ways where you are intentional with your healing and you take this hand of help from the universe, okay, let me just do this little thing, let me just clean this little corner of the house and see if that's happening. What's going to happen? A portal will open and you will receive that clarity that you need, maybe for 3 seconds. You grasp it, you follow it. How do I know this is true? You are never going to know if it's true or false from a place of super confusion if you are not going to give it a try. It might lead you wrong. Like I said, with the pyramids, you might get some information, that will lead you towards what you perceive to be wrong. And maybe that's what you need in order to have a powerful breakthrough and to see actually the reality of things. If you ask me, in order to avoid that, you take the information and you sit with it. You sit with it, you don't take any action. And you know when you are grounded and when that information aligns in you. It's a feeling of peace. There are no thoughts. And then other thoughts will come, of course. There are always thoughts. But there is a feeling of peace. The energies are settling when the truth is what you want to experience and is what you discovered through the process of sitting with a certain tool, a certain information. I hear a certain medicine. Right? In spiritual awakenings, you might receive tons of information. You might, let me tell you from my own process, I got a whole lot of messages of me being all these beings of light. Many of them. You are now this, you are now this one, now you are this one, now you are... At the beginning it got to me. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I must be very important. Right? And as I talk about it, there is still a sense of self-importance that it's in there and I have to work with. I feel it. I got to a point where I see it and I feel it. I feel the rigid wall in me somewhere, in my shadow. When I speak about a certain truth or a certain idea. I believe the worst thing you can do to yourself, wow, there are here some beings that really don't want me to say this. The worst thing that you can do to yourself in your journey is to not sit for however it takes to understand actually what's happening. The worst thing you can do is to rush into action based on a cosmic knowledge you received. Until you find your core and your inner compass and you ground that, you can bring destruction where maybe you didn't need any, right? Probably you heard many times, detours, detour, delay, detour, delay. Of course, there might be different other reasons for why this is happening, but when you receive an information that rings true to a part of you, it might ring true to a part of you that's wounded. And if you take the action towards that, because that part of you that's wounded and it's part of a wounded ego, will lead you towards a disaster of sorts. Right? And you know how spiritual awakenings usually they happen because of a huge pain. So you already have taken the necessary action to get there, right? That already happened. So now, wise would be, whatever comes, sit with it. Don't rush into anything until it sits right with you, until you are aligned with it. If not, go try for yourself at your own expenses, something like that. Yeah. Also, in our journeys, when we heal and we are ready to move to embrace a new facet of self, a new facet of life, opposition, we will be met with opposition. In that moment also, embrace what is. It's an opposition of sorts. Why is this opposition here? Right? Get to understand why the opposition is there. And that's how you develop discernment. And isn't discernment, if you ask me, it's everything. It is everything. Me, myself, in my journey, I was in many connections where these people, they were trying to shut me down. They were trying to make me feel like what I know and what I feel and what I see is wrong. I think I can almost, at this point in my journey, I can say about myself that I'm here to let you know. I don't know why I'm saying this, but maybe this resonates with one out there, okay? Maybe this is like a help from the divine to help you understand something about yourself. So I got to understand about me that I'm here to help you awaken somehow before it's time. And what I'm saying before it's time is I'm telling you these things, they rang true in you. Stay with them. Ask the divine, God, to show you if it's true. As many times as possible. And if a part of you says it's true and 3 parts says it's not true, through an inner conflict and turmoil, right? Just give it a try and show some love and some nurturing towards that part of you that might be wounded in the way that someone says. What can you lose in that moment? It's all to be gained, right? And so, in order for you to avoid the huge tower moment, the huge destruction of life, so you can awaken, What if you take some truth that you hear coming from someone, part of your soul there says it's true, but your defenses are very strong and powerful, and they don't allow this true to be absorbed? What if you stay a little bit with that information and you ask yourself, is this true? Is there any of it true? And again, what do you do from there? Automatically, when you ask yourself this question, when we ask ourselves this question, a process of metamorphosis is taking place. Just by asking, is any of this true? If it is not true, and you are just being open to it, and you ask yourself the question, is this true? What's going to happen? Let's see. It's going to create confusion for a moment, but the core, which always knows the truth, will clean up the house, so to speak, shortly after. Which can be a little bit scary, right? I can see that. I can get that. I can feel it. Anything else to be said here? How can a person that was super affected by people, generally speaking, in life, a person that doesn't trust, a person that's super rigid, super afraid of life, how can they trust in your words, or in my words, or in some awakener words, if you want to put that label? How can that happen? There is someone watching that's like that, or it will be in the future somewhere. Maybe someone will find this video at some point. How can that happen? Interesting. Okay, so some people, if they come to you and they ask for, okay, give me something, you can automatically feel how strong and resistant the ego is towards the truth. In that moment, this can be a test for you, where this comes back through a very powerful projection from the ego on you, from their ego on you, and they might make you feel like you are confused. They can really mess with some layers in you. And so what these people can do, they can go clear their energy, live in a clean space at all times. Reiki is what I'm getting here. They can get some Reiki sessions in order to be able to allow themselves to listen to what you have to say. Any other avenue here? Yeah, even after that, you see, the ego is so strong that, so let's say I'm one of these people with a very strong ego, and I am now, I've been taking some Reiki sessions, some Reiki classes, and my energy got a little bit cleared. I now can hear you at a certain level, and you are telling me, you are giving me valuable information, and it rang true with me. Now I'm supposed to take that truth and stay with it, as I mentioned. But what's happening here in many cases, the person, these people, they give up too easily. The truth comes and it gets dispersed at some level of their consciousness, and they give up too easily. And so very well they discard you or what you have to say, right? These people, or people in general speaking, they don't have an understanding of how hard it is to break that shell. We have to break our hearts in order to allow ourselves to be more of ourselves, to break our hearts, to allow ourselves to feel. That's why harsh events might happen here and there, where your shell can break through pain, right? And so you can induce this labor before the tower comes, before universe throws a comet in your life. How? Be true to yourself. Follow the truth. Truth seeker. Yeah. And you know, there are some moments in this seeking your truth where, and I'm sure you can resonate, many of you can, where, okay, I am honest with myself, so I can be honest with this, and then I can be honest with that, but then I'm so angry and I'm so against this one truth. I'm sure that's not true. I'm so sure. And we see, only this energy tells you there is some truth in there, in one way or another. Maybe not in the way that you think. Many times is not in the way that you think, especially in the beginning of this journey. Ask why. Ask yourself why. Why behind any actions? Why behind any thought? Why behind any interaction? Why behind any feeling? Ask why. And be willing and open to hear the truth. Okay. What else? Anything else? Well, for a reason or another, I hear the spell has been broken. The spell has been broken, and this came from a very feminine, beautiful energy. Yeah. Anything else? I believe that's it for today. Thank you very much for listening and being here, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.